I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Gentlemen, in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 470 of the Hoots Podcast here. It's Friday, June 20th, 2025, as I'm recording this bad boy Friday morning. A lot to get into this week. We got Night of Champions, which is a week from tomorrow in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So we'll get into a little bit of that card going on in this week in WWE. Evolution's around the corner. We got a big match announced already for the Saturday night's main event on July 12th. July 12th is going to be a busy day for me. We got the NXT Great American Bash pay-per-view. And then going to have Saturday night's main event the same night. So that's going to be very nice to kick off July. Welcome to the show, everybody. Yeah, don't be mistaken. That number is correct. 470 episodes. That's a lot of fucking episodes. I'll tell you. I want to thank each and every single one of you who've either been part of this journey since day one, or if you're a newer listener of the podcast, we drop these episodes of the Hoots Podcast each and every single Friday, anywhere you get your podcasts from. Our home is Odyssey, so give a big shout out to the people at Odyssey for having us. That's our home base for our podcast now, like our distributor basically. So I want to give a shout out to everybody there from Odyssey who's been helping us out for the last, I don't know, close to 2 months since I've decided to put the podcast on there, and it's going well, man. I'm very, very shocked with the consistency that we've been able to maintain listenership-wise since we changed platforms from Spotify back in May, and not only that, but the fact that the show is finally making money again, and I could say now, the podcast account has gotten past $500 in our account so far. So I can't express enough gratitude to each and every single one of you who continue to help make the show what it is. And we are 30 episodes away from episode 500. Where things go from there, we'll see. But I couldn't be happier with where things are right now with the show. There's a lot of good things to look forward to in the coming months, work-wise for myself. This is definitely just a lot more shows, like I was telling you earlier, with the stuff that I'm covering in July, and then August is the 2-night SummerSlam, and then that ends that month with the Clash in Paris pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure maybe the PLEs and stuff will scale down a bit during the fall, but nonetheless, things are just going well right now, and I'm having fun. There's a lot of shows, obviously, so I'm keeping busy. But in another way, I don't feel like I'm burnt out. If anything, I'm just more focused and trying to take things one show at a time. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day where it's just I cover wrestling now, but it's work for me. I don't particularly look it through the lens of a fan anymore. I'm not living and dying through what I see week by week television, and yeah, it's a different experience for me now. But we have 30 episodes away to get to 500, which was our big goal that I made back in episode 300. I made that promise to you guys, and we're almost there. That's another, 6 or 7 months away. But nonetheless, I'm open to any suggestions you guys have for the remaining 30 episodes of the show. And again, thank you all. You can follow me on X if you like at the Hoots Podcast. Pretty simple deal there. You can find my work for my articles in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. I'm on Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music. If you want to see me do guitar covers there or just more of my work on there. And besides that, really the best way to help support this podcast is to listen to the show on Odyssey or anywhere you get your podcast from, and share the show with your friends. If anything, I would like to pop up more of our stuff on YouTube. That would help us out a lot, because to become a YouTube partner, you need to have like at least 1,000 subscribers on the channel. Right now, we're a little bit over 550, which is pretty cool. But if you're watching or listening to this on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. And one simple press on that subscribe button will help us out even more to continue to expand our growth and reach to people. So, again, hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. That way we can get to 1,000 subscribers. All that being said, of course, it wouldn't be another week of wrestling content to discuss without having to point out nonsense that I had to observe and read through the wonderful app known as Twitter and the cesspool that is the IWC. So I'll get that stuff out of the way in this week in WWE. I'll get into what everybody's talking about with Goldberg. Gosh. You would think a legend in the wrestling business wants to go out his own way without sensitive marks crying about him getting his last match being the title match. I'm sure people didn't have an issue with Sting having his last match having the championship involved. Ooh. Wait, was that too soon? Hypocrisy in the IWC, this never ceases to amaze me. We'll get to that in a couple minutes, but like I said, I'm excited. This is episode 470. Reach out to me. If there's anybody that you know that does content, somebody that used to be on the show, is there anybody in particular that you'd like to hear on the podcast? I'd love to hear from you guys, and let's interact with each other in the comment section as well on YouTube. That would help things out as well. Like, I'll put it in the description, and I'll post a question to you guys here. What would you like to see at Evolution 2, the pay-per-view in Atlanta on July 13th? Like, what would you like to see at that show? Answer that question down below. And I'll make sure to give you guys shout-outs on next week's episode if you guys do that for me. On that note, we'll be right back. This is episode 470 of the Hoots Podcast. When we come back, we'll get into this week in WWE. I'll sprinkle in some talk about NXT, since we haven't really had a chance to talk about NXT as much over the past couple weeks. And also, we'll get into our main event segment, which is the Back Porch Q&A session, and we did get questions this week from Chris and Mike, as always, and I appreciate those good brothers always helping out with me with that segment. So, as Hawk Harrison used to say on White Sox telecast, sit back, relax, strap it down. We'll be right back. This is episode 470 of the Hoots Podcast. Yeet. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. As always, I like to let everybody know that outside of the podcast, I make transcripts for a living, and a lot of the talking points I bring to the table here with the podcast each week stems from my experience covering the industry and the time and effort that goes into these play-by-play articles and or transcripts, or however you want to phrase it. That's where a lot of my analysis comes from. I don't know. I wouldn't consider myself a hot take guy. I'm not like Stephen A. Smith. I'm not gonna come here and give you a first take on stuff on wrestling. That's not my shtick. I'm not like a shock jock type of guy. Don't get wrong. Being a kid that grew up in the 90s, I watched Howard Stern and stuff like that back then, but that's not my influence broadcasting wise. I feel like a lot of things have been missing amongst this space. It's been a lack of nuance and substance in these conversations and providing context, because I listen to a lot of stuff. I listen to shows that are entertaining about about wrestling. I listen to shows that have a lot of opinions that I don't agree with. I try to listen to both sides of the table, and I spend a lot of time throughout the weeks when I'm not doing a podcast, like consuming other podcasts to see what I'm doing wrong and what I can do better. And like I listen to a lot of podcasts to see if whether my perspective on things is I wouldn't say aligned, because this is the thing about me, like my entire life I've never wanted to fit in a way. Like I never wanted to fit in with the like how you say it, like the cliques, like I never wanted to be that person that was just acting like a sheep and following the flock towards the new flavor ideal of what is in fandom and life and stuff like that. Like I move to the beat of my own drum. Like I don't move at the beat of other people's drum. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm not a person that allows other people to speak for me or make decisions for me. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that's helped this podcast in a way, big or small, stand out for the rest. Where like a lot of times with a lot of the popular wrestling shows, they have people that have blue check marks and people that are having shows on like Sirius XM and et cetera. A lot of them, they build their audience off of disingenuous conversation and things that are going to engage people into clickbait, into calling their shows. And I can speak on this because I've been in the media industry for about a decade now, and I know how it works. So, in a way, you'll always hear a wrestler, right, on a wrestling show say, "Oh, I'm tired of people who have never stepped inside a ring tell me what I'm supposed to do with my job," right? And I agree with them. That's the funny thing. But on the other hand, I, as somebody who's been a broadcaster for the last 10 years and a podcaster and a content creator, I can speak on my field because it's my field. What I don't get and what I continue to just shake my head at is that what's the end game with a lot of these shows that we produce each and every single week? Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I cover a wrestling show from WWE with talents that are at different levels, that have different stories and different journeys, right? And everybody's ultimate goal, right, is to main event WrestleMania, to be a draw, to be a marquee performer, right? We all know with WWE, it's a mainstream wrestling entertainment-based company, right? It's not something to placate to Marks. It's not something to placate to Dave Meltzer and the Brian Alvarez's of the world. In a lot of ways, I think maybe one of the reasons why people who talk and cover WWE, and it's I don't know if you guys ever felt this, but I hear it in the tone of the people who do other podcasts about wrestling. You would think that said person looks at WWE as like an ex-girlfriend or a company that they used to work for. Like, I was listening to a show the other day during my walk. I do morning walks every day. I walk for 90 minutes every morning. And during one of my walks the other day, I was listening to a podcast. I'm not going to say which one it was. And one of the co-hosts would not address WWE by its name. It would all he would say is they and that. That company this. They that. They this. They that. That company this. That company that. I'm like, what? Why are we talking about wrestling companies as if they're our ex-girlfriends? Like, and I have an easy BS meter. Like, I can detect BS very easily, and I can detect disingenuous conversation very, very fast. And it's not that hard to figure it out, guys. Like, I could delineate what's constructive criticism, right? Compared to, okay, I'm just going to blur out the same shit I see on Twitter. That way I can get some likes and retweets out of it. And guess what? I could make that into a 45-second clip that I can post it on Instagram, what? TikTok, what? YouTube, what? Etc., etc. There's a game to this. I don't put student of the game as a hashtag to make myself a gimmick actor. I don't use hashtag student of the game when I share my transcripts because, I'm trying to pretend that I'm a student of Triple H, right? I put student of the game in a lot of my tweets because that's who I am. I study the craft that I do. I put the time and effort into the things that I do, whether it's this show, whether it's the shows that I cover each week, it's the research that goes into the podcast on the other days, and like, I am a literal definition of a student of the game. And that is for positive things, and it's also for things that I don't want to do. Hence, what I'm just saying right here, with like, I can pinpoint on any wrestling podcast where somebody is just saying something, they'll just click with the IWC, and that's the only reason why they're saying that. And that's really a big disservice to the wrestling fan at whole. I will never come on here and tell you how to fan, right? If you're a wrestling fan and you're doing a podcast and you're a fan, be a fan. Think for yourself. Why do you think I say at the end of each show, right? Like, be the authentic product that is yourself. Think for yourself. It's your journey with wrestling, and I feel in a lot of ways where some fans start getting a following. Like, they're fans at first, right? They enjoy it for what it is. They're not letting the Dave Meltzers of the world like think for them and speak for them and formulate their outlook of the business, right? And then guess what happens? They get a podcast. They either start writing for a dirt sheet. And guess what? They turn into Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and John Alba and et cetera, and it's this echo chamber continues where you're allowing the echo chamber of this space dictate your enjoyment of professional wrestling. I've been covering wrestling since 2013. I've been a fan of wrestling since 1998. So that's almost 30 years now. Not once since I've done this show, or my old show that I used to do when I was going to broadcasting school, the Pro Wrestling Experience show, not one time have I ever come on here and allowed somebody else to dictate my opinion on wrestling, dictate my enjoyment on wrestling. Like, I don't know how you can live with yourself, like, going through your day, like, oh, I'm just going to produce disingenuous content, that way I can get any money and likes and retweets that I want. You're not putting the work in, you're not doing anything to earn it. I could come out here and write salacious headlines and say, oh, this week's episode for the Hoots Podcast, Triple H is the worst booker of all time. And guess what? All that is to generate a bunch of conversation where people start arguing against each other. Oh, I agree with that. Oh, I don't agree with that. I don't want that. Because I don't think that's true. And secondly, why am I going to blur out a headline for a podcast for a take that I don't agree with? I did that exercise a couple weeks ago. I forgot which episode it was, where I said, I used like a spin off of one of those stupid Bleacher Report articles that I read, where it was something to the likes of WWE's problems rearing its ugly head, right? Like something like that, right? I did it as a test, right? The next morning, I got direct messages on Twitter. I didn't share it because I just thought it was funny, right? I got direct messages from people telling me that I'm an AEW mark. I want you to think about that. Me, an AEW mark, right? And then this goes into other things where, like, okay, if you're not spending your podcast just shitting on WWE the entire time, and then, oh man, I can't wait for All In, it's gonna be the greatest show since WrestleMania 17, like, then you're a WWE shill, right? Like, I know how this game goes, I know how this pitter-patter goes with the wrestling podcast realm, and it's so stupid. It really is. Like, look, we all have our opinions, and the reason why I'm talking about this, to start this off with this week in WWE, is that every week there's always something new where we need to have this irrational paranoia about the landscape of the entire company, and it's like it's really the hypocrisy is and the double standards is what I don't get. I personally do not care whether or not you like or dislike Bill Goldberg. Okay? I don't care whether you think Bill Goldberg should get a title match in 2025 or not. I do not care whether you think Bill Goldberg deserves to have an opportunity to wrestle on TV in 2025. But also, do not be that person that was clamoring for Sting to take the AEW title off of Jon Moxley just to give it to Darby Allin before he retired. Do not be that same person that was marking out for Sting's last match at Revolution, which was objectively a great match, and I'm not even a fan of the Young Bucks. Don't be that fan that tells me, oh, wrestlers should go out the way they want to, and then when that said wrestler is doing it, but because he's not a favorite in the IWC, oh, that person doesn't deserve to go out on his own terms. I'm tired of the hypocrisy. Again, I don't care if you don't like Goldberg or not. Hell, I don't even care if you don't like WWE or not. It's not going to affect my day. I got a job to do. What bothers me is that you have people who do have an influence on the wrestling fan base, that have big platforms, and you know what they're doing? They're not helping the business grow. You got people like Dave LaGreca on Busted Open every single week, acting as if the sky's falling on the littlest thing he doesn't like on Monday Night Raw, where he practices in a lot of hyperbole and hypocrisy. So the big thing this week I'm supposed to believe is that, oh my God, Goldberg is back. He's fighting Gunther at Saturday night's main event, and guess what? Oh, it doesn't make sense. What? This is my problem, right? I'm the person that covers every segment, every match for all these televised WWE shows. So the moment I hear a take that's just factually wrong and me just using it for the sake of getting likes and like rage baiting people, I have to call that out. To say that Goldberg and Gunther does not make sense is just a factual lie, and we're talking about something. We're talking about a subjective form of entertainment. I'm not going to put a blind eye and act as if bad blood did not happen. Now, whether you want to crow and whine and bitch about the fact that the World Championship is on the line, let's not forget the fact that A, the match is in Atlanta, B, Goldberg doesn't have long matches, and C, he's probably not going to win the match, so who gives a shit if the freaking prop, yes, I said it, prop, is on the line or not? I don't think you would have a conversation with Stevie Wonder and he would tell you that Goldberg is going to beat Gunther at Saturday night's main event. But no, we're still in this headspace as a wrestling fandom where people still watching the show through the lenses if Vince McMahon is making decisions. And the guy is not even been in the company for the last year and a half. So the wrestling fan base and the wrestling content creator realm, we only get to cherry pick who gets to go out on their own terms, right? So Sting can have this fabulous retirement on his own accord, but Bill Goldberg can't. Sting can have a title involved in his last match, but Goldberg can't. And I'm not even coming out here acting as if I'm like a big Goldberg mark. I've been a fan of his for a long time. I enjoy his work. I think he's a good dude. The entrance is one of my favorite entrances of all time. But I wouldn't say that Goldberg, for my fandom, is at the level of a CM Punk or a Undertaker or even a Triple H in this matter. But I have respect for the dude. Should he not go out on his own terms? Should he not have the right to tell his last story the way he wants to tell it? But no. Oh, it doesn't make sense. Oh, the title should have been on the line. Oh, they shouldn't have took the title off of Jey Uso only just to have this match with Goldberg and Gunther. Even though Goldberg wasn't going to win the title in the first place. What's more important, Gunther having a 5-star wrestling match for a world title on Saturday night's main event, or Gunther being the person that ended Goldberg's career? Let me pose that question to all you literary experts and English professors. Like, that's the funniest thing too. It's just like, I have to sit here as the guy that transcribes basically every little thing that you see at a wrestling show, and then you have people on Sirius XM the next day telling me, oh, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. What? Are you even watching the show? We are getting to a point where we are allowing opinions to dictate what's fact, and that is just not right. It's not a good way to go about things. I'm not telling you how to fan, but if you're going to sit here and pump your chest out and act as if you know what doesn't stink, and act as if your opinion is the gospel, you better make sure that you have some context and substance attached to it, because you're doing the fan base a disservice by going on these senseless rants each and every single week, and it's becoming a gimmick. That's the thing with Dave LaGreca. He'll find the littlest thing to rant about for each week of programming, or he'll spend the rest of his week talking about The Rock because he's chasing the hug. He's chasing attention for The Rock. Dave wants The Rock got busted open so bad that he's going to take personal pot shots at the guy each and every single week. Don't you see that, or am I the only one that's noticing that? The sky is falling because Goldberg's having a world title match and he's not going to freaking win. That's not the point of the freaking match. Oh, this match doesn't make sense. Gunther practically called off Goldberg's bluff right in front of his family in Atlanta last year. In bad blood. Here we are a few months later. The show's in Atlanta. We all know the elephant in the room that this is probably going to be his last match. And we all know since Goldberg came back to the company back in 2016 that he stands up for his family. But now it doesn't make sense because the world title's online. It's a freaking prop. Who gives a shit? It's not a sport. And if anything, if we're going to make everything about the title, don't you think that's going to make Gunther look very strong in his resume, being like, yeah, I'm the guy that took Goldberg out for good? I don't get it. I really don't. Like the guy, don't like the guy. Again, it's not going to affect my mental health. It's not going to affect the way I go about my work. But again, it's just, I'm really tired of the stupid, disingenuous takes just to get likes and retweets and all this other stuff. It's just defeating the freaking purpose. And nobody can take what you're saying seriously. Are you guys going to expect me to rage and me pop a blood vessel because Bill Goldberg wants to have his retirement involve a world title that he's not going to win? Like, come on. I don't think Goldberg is like, oh, I'm only going to do my retirement match if I win the title. Like, come on. Anyways, let's talk about some other stuff here. Some other takeaways from this week of programming. Also, I'll wrap up this Goldberg thing with this. One thing I don't like in this space is hypocrisy. Put some respect on that guy's name. The guy sacrificed his body for a lot of years for our entertainment. And if that's how he wants to have his final match be, let him be, man. I'm not telling you that you have to be a fan of Goldberg. That's not the point of this rant that I went on the podcast this week. My point is that don't be a freaking hypocrite just because you're trying to fit in with the IWC. The man should go out the way he wants to go out. Whether you like that or not, or whether you want to see him in the title match in 2025 or not, I don't care. That's none of my business. But don't be a hypocrite. Put some respect on that guy's name. Because you had no issue with Sting at 64 having his retirement match with a title on the line. But Goldberg at 58 is a problem. Stop being hypocrites. Put respect on that guy's name. SmackDown and Raw this past week featured a lot of really good wrestling. We have the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments going on, so we've had these failed four-way matches. Majority of them have been very good. I really enjoyed the one on Raw this Monday for the ladies with Asuka, Stephanie Vaquer, Raquel Rodriguez, and Ivy Now. I thought that was good. The main event with Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, Bronson Reed, Sheamus, and Rusev. Very, very good match. A Big E special, if you will. Big meaty man bumping meat. That was a very good match. Hell, even on SmackDown, Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight, and Aleister Black, that was a fantastic match. We have the semifinals set. We have Alexa Bliss taking on the returning Asuka tonight on SmackDown. SmackDown's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The other semifinal match will be taking place on Raw this Monday in Columbus, which is Jade Cargill and Roxanne Perez. On the men's side, we have Randy Orton and Sami Zayn that's taking place tonight. And then the other semifinal match on the Raw side is Cody Rhodes against Jey Uso. So we got storyline implications here. We got matches that would be very good on a pay-per-view, and we got uprising stars trying to make a name for themselves. So the brackets are, I really liked how they really mapped out this King and Queen of the Ring tournament this year. I really do. I'm curious to see how tonight goes. Like, does Sami Zayn finally get his big victory over Randy Orton? I might be going with the upset here. Look, there's a lot of options here. Like, we could have Randy Orton against Jey Uso in the finals. We could have Randy Orton against Cody Rhodes in the finals. We could have Sami and Cody in the finals. I think that'd be a very interesting match. You do Sami and Cody for the first time on the PLE. I think that'd be very cool. Hell, how about this? You can have Sami Zayn against Jey Uso in the King of the Ring finals. Like, think about that. I think that'd be very cool, actually. And that's the thing. The winners of these matches will get to face the top champion of their respective brands at SummerSlam. So, for example, if Jade Cargill becomes the Queen of the Ring, she'll be taking on Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam. If Asuka wins, she'll be taking on Io Sky at SummerSlam. Io against Asuka? I don't know who would say no to that, right? Or Roxanne Perez, for example, right? She would take on Io Sky. If they had great matches with each other before in the past in NXT, that would be no different either, you know? Alexa Bliss and Tiffany Stratton would be very cool. There's a lot of options here, and I've been wrapping my brain about how this is going to play out, and that's the thing, I don't know how it's going to play out, because who's to say that Karrion Kross doesn't pop up out of nowhere tonight and cost Sami Zayn the King of the Ring tournament, right? Or you have Jey Uso upset Cody Rhodes. I think ultimately Cody Rhodes will win the King of the Ring tournament, but man, wouldn't it be interesting if the finals came to Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes? Or what would happen if it's Cody Rhodes against Randy Orton? On the same show that we're having John Cena and CM Punk. Two marquee matches that we all have been waiting to see for a long time now could take place in Saudi Arabia a week from tomorrow. I'm still sticking to my predictions that I had when this initially started. I'm going with Roxanne Perez to win for the women, and I'm going with Cody Rhodes to win for the guys. But this is really up in the air, and I'm very curious to see how the match layout goes from a transcript point of view for all the remaining semifinal matches. They're all going to be very good in their own way. Asuka and Alexa Bliss has history with each other. Sami and Randy rarely ever disappoint, but man, wouldn't that be an upset if Sami Zayn were to beat Randy Orton? Right? That would be an upset. Or Cody Rhodes beat Randy Orton, and that's the final straw for Randy, and then Randy turns heel on Cody after SummerSlam. Just think about all the different variables here. There's a lot to think about, but I'm curious to see how all this stuff is going to play out. But that's my thoughts of what's going on right now with the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments so far. Let's talk about John Cena and CM Punk. shall we? I didn't want to make this entire segment about Goldberg, but I felt like I needed to get that stuff off my chest because it's just ridiculous. Anyways, John Cena and CM Punk looks like it's going to happen unless something changes tonight. Tonight, John Cena is taking on Ron Killings. I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to play out. Good on Truth to get 2 matches with John Cena out of this. And I believe this is, besides the Saturday Night main event, this is probably Cena's first televised match during this retirement tour. So, good on you, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm waiting to figure out when John Cena is going to be in Chicago because I want to be there for that moment. I was there. I was fortunate enough to be at the SmackDown where John Cena made his debut against Kurt Angle on June 27th of 2022. I was 8 years old at the time. I remember that show like it was yesterday. I would love to be there at the Rosemont Horizon if John Cena, comes back to Chicago. We'll have to see what the pay-per-view schedules look like in September and October. We know that Survivor Series is going to be in San Diego at Petco Park. I'm kind of curious to see how that layout's going to look like. I think it's going to be pretty cool visually wise. The fact that they're doing it in a baseball stadium this year, I think it's going to be pretty cool. But back to Cena and Punk. I enjoyed both promos from last week's Raw through last week's SmackDown especially. But I'll tell you what, John Cena brought up a lot of good points. And really, in a lot of ways, his first promo that he started SmackDown with last week really kind of exposed a lot of your favorite wrestling podcasters. Where a lot of he said was true. He's 1,000 steps ahead of everybody. And made a lot of rational sense as to why he made the decision he made at the Elimination Chamber. And then again, he has never said that he sold his soul to The Rock. But again, we're talking about a fan base that just likes to assume shit. And that life lesson, assuming just makes assholes out of you and me. John Cena brought up a lot of good points about Punk, about him basically calling him out for being a hypocrite. And I can say that as a CM Punk mark. I like Punk's fire in response to the promo back. I will say I was a little disappointed that we didn't hear nothing from Punk on Raw this past Monday. I don't know why he was not at the show. I don't think he's advertised for tonight's show either, so I don't know what's going on. Unless there's something here where Punk gets attacked backstage and they decide to just insert Truth again against John Cena, and it's like a scenario where CM Punk is laid out backstage, the match is called off, and then the match with Cena and Truth tonight is ends up like a smash, like a no contest or a DQ, and Truth gets the title shot finally at Night of Champions. Like, I can see that happening. But, I don't know, I just thought it was a missed opportunity to not have another good Punk promo on Raw this past Monday. I thought Raw was like a solid show, but the promo that Punk and Cena had with SmackDown was good, but to have a standalone Punk promo on Raw this week I thought was very necessary, and the fact that it didn't happen I thought was a mistake. So, that was that. Besides that, what else I wanted to mention? Really quick, let's send our thoughts and prayers out to Liv Morgan. I don't know the severity of how long she's going to be out and stuff like that. There's reports about her potentially needing to get surgery and that she might be out of action for the rest of the year, which really sucks. Obviously, she's amazing to look at on TV. Waterfall game to another level, but she was really at the top of her craft, and I was really, really excited for her program with Nikki Bella going into Evolution, but it looks like that's not going to happen now. So, it's unfortunate news. It sucks, you know. It's part of the industry. It's not ballet. As much as that's a cliche, it's the truth. It's not ballet. These people are they hurt themselves, and it's not easy stuff to do. So hopefully Liv has a speedy recovery, and we get to see that beautiful woman back on our TV screens soon. Before we get to the questions, I want to talk a little bit about NXT, because I'm having a blast with this TNA and NXT partnership. It's fun. Like, getting to see these TNA performers each and every single week on the show is fun. NXT is a vibe, man. Like, I just really wanted to come out here and compliment the women that got to participate in those Evolution Eliminator matches, like Kalani Jordan and Last Legend, which was the first match, was really the second match was really good. Jada Parker and Thea Hale was good. Jada Parker is fantastic. She's got a bright future ahead of her. Zaria and Izzy Dame, very physical match. Zaria got the victory. No, my bad. Izzy got the victory. They threw distraction from Tatum Paxley. And then Jordan Grace and Lola Vice was very good too. Jordan Grace, she's her. She's fantastic. She's very, very, very good in the ring. I'm happy for her success. Like, I remember right as I was starting my broadcasting journey and stuff, like back in like 2012, 2013, I would go to this local promotion here in Chicago called AAW Pro, right? And they would have their shows a lot in Berwyn, Illinois, at the infamous Berwyn Eagles Club. Yes, Joshie has gone to independent shows. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed going to those shows, and I saw a lot of these performers that I see on TV now these days get their start at AAW, right? And Jordan Grace was one of those performers. Like, she was like a valet at the time for Eddie Kingston, and then here we are 12 years later, she's like kicking ass on TV. It's awesome to see, to say that. But besides that, I wanted to mention really quick the last thing we'll mention here this week in WWE. We had Blake Monroe, the aforementioned Mariah May. She signed her NXT contract in the main event segment of NXT this week. I'll tell you right now, this girl from a star, like a superstar, like presentation type of thing, like, she has the potential to be the next Trish Stratus. Like, wrestling, talking skills, character presentation, the vignettes that they're showcasing during the show, obviously the look. She's a smoke show to 10th degree, but like, she's like the total package. Like, if you guys have not seen Mariah May or Blake Monroe, like, she's the real deal. Like, this girl is going to be a megastar, and for her to still be 26 to get this opportunity, man, like, I'll tell you what, that girl's gonna make a lot of money. A lot of money. And seeing her talk about, like, oh, this was her dream to make it to the WWE, like, it's cool to see, like, good people get to reach their goals and what they want to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's stuff that's just awesome to see. But on that note, folks, that is what happened this week in WWE. I just wanted to talk about NXT and give props to the women, because NXT does have the best women's division in professional wrestling, and I think that they deserve some praise and shout-outs. So I know that JC Jane will have her title defense at Evolution, but I think that Sol Ruka should defend her Women's North American Championship on that show as well. If you want to do Sol Ruka I don't know if you want to do Sol Ruca against. Let's see. Who could we put Sol Ruca up against? I don't know. Maybe it'd be like an NXT showcase match where you have more people for the NXT women fight for that particular championship. I was thinking at first, like, who for the main roster Sol Ruca could face at first, but it's not coming at the top of my head. So we'll save that fantasy booking idea for another time or when we get closer to Evolution. But like I said at the beginning of the show, what would you like to see on that card for Evolution 2? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. When we come back, we'll have our final segment of the show, which is our questions. That's right, we'll answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 470 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Yeet! Alright guys, one more segment to do here. Time to answer your questions for the Good Brothers. Excuse me, it's not the Good Brothers Q&A session, it's the Back Porch Q&A session. That's a throwback, to say the least. Before we get to the questions this week, it's been a while since I played some audio here on the podcast, and that was a fun feature that we used to do over the years where we find like a cool clip from an interview or stuff like that that applies context to where things are with the business as a whole. Nick Khan recently made an appearance on Stephanie McMahon's What's Your Story podcast, and it was a very good interview. Don't let the Dave Meltzers of the world tell you who Nick Khan is. Let the man speak for himself. I thought this was a very good conversation. Check out the entire interview. It's very good. The guy is like a laid-back type of guy. But I want to play this part here from the interview that really stood out to me before I answer the questions this week. So here's Nick Khan on Stephanie McMahon's What's Your Story podcast.
And the reason why I'm asking is because I think a lot of people, everybody sort of has the same, not necessarily financial opportunity, but one of the things I hear consistently in the people that I'm interviewing is that drive, that determination, that never giving up, that always being on, always striving to do the next thing, never being afraid to fail, taking that risk. And you have taken huge risks. You referenced even in a recent Bill Simmons podcast, you talked about CM Punk taking the risk of coming back after a decade of being gone, and Roman Reigns overcoming an illness. That's sort of the idea behind What's Your Story, right? It's because everyone has a story. Life kicks everybody around. What are the ways that you overcame adversities to get to where you are? And that's where I'm trying to get to with this risk-taking. So when did you know that you wanted to be in the media business? And was being a lawyer the first step to get there? Or did you think you wanted to be a lawyer first?
But by the way, in terms of What's Your Story, McAfee, which I think was your TV show, was your show,
yes, yeah.
Places. McAfee, you made emotional or got emotional in the clips that I've seen. You have an innate ability to bring that out of people. McAfee to me is a true American success story. A guy who goes to what's considered a lesser school, a guy who gets his way into the NFL and sort of finagled his way into a tryout. A guy who, if you've seen the clips, when they show the players at the beginning of the game, hey, I'm so-and-so, I went to the Ohio State University and this and that.
Right.
He would say, I'm Pat McAfee, one day I want to be a professional wrestler. Like,
he said that. Yeah.
He in his mind, he saw it. And instead of letting anyone tell him, they told him, but he didn't listen to it. Well, you're only this, or you can't do that, or you need to do this. He forged his own path. I think for me, for others who have had the good fortune of succeeding professionally in life, like, you got to see it a moment in time before everyone else sees it, and then you just got to go do it. There's no blueprint, there's no waiting, there's just do it. And you'll fall on your face, you'll make a bunch of mistakes, but you got to keep moving forward. And those days that you feel like, man, I don't think this is going to work, like, that's normal for every person. In relationships, in business, that was a terrible day. But it's a good thing, and I think I said this recently. I like that the clock resets at midnight. No matter how good the day was or how bad the day was. And it was, I think, Lorenzo Fertitta, one of the brothers with Dana White, who really built up the UFC, who said in a short documentary, you get a good night's sleep, you wake up the next day, and it's a fresh point of view. And you just get up and you keep moving forward. So to me, health is a different thing. If someone's health is at risk, that's, you have very little control over that. But in business, like, what's the worst that can happen? You get fired.
Yeah, people are so afraid.
They're so afraid of that, and they're so afraid of, what? It's a reason, by the way, stuff like, I'm not a member of any club, country club, beach club, this, that. I don't like it. I feel like for me, I don't like it.
Yeah, we aren't either.
It doesn't surprise me, right? They sort of like, this happened, and it's negative, and you and I went through negative press on the company for a few years.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right?
I've never endured any negative press.
Well, it's not of you.
No, there has been plenty.
It never bothered me. It was just like, this is life. And I also never had to think about, like, what are people in the club, like, saying about this?
Right.
It bothered me, like, who gives a fuck about what someone in the club says about you?
It's like social media, and Paul was saying to me the other day, because it's funny how human nature-wise, you can be looking at comments, and there's 10 great comments and one negative comment, and you, as a human being, you just focus in on that one negative comment, and it can wreck your day. And Paul said to me, he goes, would you ask that person their opinion on a decision you had to make? I was like, no. He goes, right. Why? So, because I don't care what they think. I don't know who they are. He goes, right. So why do you care what they think?
Steph, I promise you this. I've never once searched my name on X, on any social media platform, on Google. If it says something positive, it has no relevancy to me. If it says something negative, it has no relevancy to me. And it's something I love hearing that Paul says that to you. I know he believes that. And it's something we encourage our creative team and writers. Like, don't program for that.
Yeah.
Program for the universe, not for a small portion of the universe who wants to criticize you. It doesn't matter. Move on. Not a good product. The money will be there. The fans will be there. The results will be there.
Good stuff there from Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon. So make sure you check out her podcast. What's Your Story with Stephanie McMahon is part of a collaboration with WWE and Fanatics. WWE has a new podcasting channel, which is brought to you by Fanatics. All right, excuse me. Let's get into it, folks. Let's answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. As always, let's do the traditional things we usually do here on the podcast. Let's start with the X. Let's do it. Throw the X for the good brother Chris Zaletta at XSingZaletta24X on the Twitter machine. He says, what up, Oops? Here's the question for the Q&A seat. Will Night of Champions for Goldberg, will Night of Champions for Goldberg be his last match? No. Goldberg is not wrestling at Night of Champions. He's fighting at Saturday Night's main event. Saturday Night's main event will be his last match. Do you think that the Four Horsewomen will eventually have their dream Fatal 4-Way match at the future WrestleMania? I would love to see it, but then again, you have egos. You got one who has the biggest ego in the world, who thinks that she's the biggest wrestling star because she has 10 titles draped over her shoulder. But we all really know the only reason that she has those titles because those companies are trying to curry favor with Tony Khan. So let's be honest with that. Secondly, you got another performer who the IWC who thinks that she has the biggest ego in the world in Charlotte. Then you got Becky who has an ego. And then you got Bayley. So I would love to see it, but we'll have to see if the malcontent can get out of her own way. Because, again, we could love to book matches, but we have performers who think that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then you're like, oh, I'm not having the match if I'm not going to be put over. So you have the Four Horsewomen in the Fatal 4-Way match at WrestleMania. We'll see who really is the real Hulk Hogan out of the four. When do you think we'll see Rizzo appear, and whose side will she be on? Good question. I think that Rizzo will come back, but I think she's going to be with Stax. I had like heel vibes from her before all the shenanigans started. Next question here: Who will win? Who will win these four King and Queen of the Ring Tournament Finals that head to Night of Champions. Good question. I'm going with Sami Zayn. I'm going to go with Asuka. I'm going to go with Jade Cargill, and then I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes. So those are my 4. Have I seen the field yet for the G1 this year? No, I have not. You know what, Chris? Let me put a pin on that and talk about that next week. All right? I'll remind myself to talk about that next week's episode. Is that all right? Someone who is someone we should pay attention to in season 2 of LFG? Yeah, that's right. LFG season 2 debuts this Sunday on A&E. I would say take a look at Karen Bess. We have a lot of people coming back from season 1, like Chris Island and Danny Ray, Shiloh Hill, Serena Litton, Cena Zerling. But for the newer cast, I'd definitely say look out for like Hayes Jameson, a girl that I saw on Evolve, Summer Sorrell, Layla Diggs, another performer that I saw on Evolve, Lainey Reed, who just had a recent title opportunity with JC Jane. I think they said that BJ Ray is in there for season 2, man. Oh, man, that's going to be interesting. Man, either Bully Ray and him need to have a fight or a match at this point. So I'm not surprised that they brought him back for season 2. So I'm excited for this. LFG is a fun show. They're having Michelle McCool replace Mickie James, unfortunately, this year. So for this season. But I'm excited for it. That's going to be debuting on this Sunday on A&E, season 2 of LFG. Good question there, good brother. What do you think of Asuka's return? She hasn't missed a beat. It was great to see her. She's awesome. When do you think we'll see the Usos get back together for a tag run? Probably by the end of the year, or maybe after SummerSlam. Which championship do you think Seth Rollins will cash in for? It's the World Heavyweight Championship. Unless it's something where they're going to flip the titles on different brands, like the World title goes to SmackDown and the WWE title goes to Netflix. That's the only way I see it. If we think Seth Rollins is going to cash in on a John Cena, or CM Punk beats John Cena at SummerSlam and Seth Rollins cashes in on Punk at SummerSlam, that's the only way I can see it happening. Unless it's something where like the World title is switching brands, that's the only way I can see Seth Rollins cash in on John Cena. But for now, I'm just going to say the World Heavyweight Championship. Thank you, Chris, for the questions this week, brother. I appreciate it as always. Our next set of questions comes from the good brother Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. He says, "What up, Moose? Hope it all is well in prepping for the move and moving out of Chicago." Thank you, brother. Here are some questions for the back porch. His first question here says, "What does it say about Mercedes 9 belts now? Is it strong for her or show weaknesses in other companies?" The latter. I'll just keep it as simple as that. I just said it. It's the latter. She's an egomaniac, and the companies are current favorite with Tony Khan. That's all it is. Is it weird that ESPN is talking about Dak Prescott's legacy when it's mid-June with the NBA and NHL championship rounds in progress? No, I think that's more par for the course for ESPN, because it wouldn't be ESPN without talking about the Dallas Cowboys all day. If you had about $200 to get decent to good seats and had Raw and NXT in your city the same week, which one would you choose and why? That's a good question. You know what, Mike? I would probably go to Raw because, unfortunately, I have yet to been able to be in the crowd in Chicago to see CM Punk since he's come back to the WWE. Still to this day, even though I had a blast covering the show live during the transfer for that War Games PLE in 2023 for Survivor Series, I wished I was there for that moment when he came back. That's one of the biggest regrets I'll ever have as a fan, is not being there for that show. and I haven't had a chance to see Punk yet. And he's been to Chicago like 3 or 4 times already since then. I gotta go see him, so I'll probably go with the Raw for that reason and that reason alone. I've missed NXT shows a gazillion times, so that's nothing new. 4, how does Raw feel to watch transcribed not knowing if it's 2.5 hours or 3.5 hours? Well, they haven't got to the point yet, Mike, where the show's gone over 3 hours, so it hasn't been bad. I kind of like that unpredictability. And here's the thing for everybody that doesn't know. A lot of times when I'm covering the shows, more times than not, I'm either like 10 or 15 minutes behind the live broadcast from you guys because like I'm pausing and rewinding and fast forwarding different parts of the show so I can get all the promos right. Like I really take my time with the transcripts. So that's probably the main reason why like it'll take me either like 30 or 40 minutes after the show's off the air for me to post it on social media because I've taken my time to do the transcripts. So even with Raw, like it's interesting. I kind of like the fact that it goes off whenever it does, like because either way, it's not like oh I have 3 hours just to do it and that's it. It's just like the show's going to be what it's going to be, and I'm going to take my time to make sure that I give the best accurate transcription that I can do. So I appreciate you asking that. I don't get a lot of questions about my process behind the transfer, so I really appreciate you asking me that, Mike. I really do. What title is most likely to change hands at Night of Champions? Good question. Probably one of the tag titles, maybe. What do you think of Goldberg getting? Or I'll say this: I think there's a good chance that AJ Styles becomes the Intercontinental Champion at Night of Champions. I'll just throw that out there. What do you think of Goldberg getting to take on Gunther with others probably next in line? I have no problem with it. This is how Goldberg wants to end his career, and this is how he wants to go out for his retirement match. He has every right to do so. Every right to do so. Which jersey would you rather have, the Chicago City Connect one or the Pope Leo jersey from last week? I'm going to go with the City Connect one because I'm a big Bulls fan and I just love the way those jerseys look. They're badass. So I wish I could get one of those in my size, and that would be the one that I would go for. He says, finally, what are your thoughts on the new Linkin Park songs or album with the new lead singer? I think it's solid. You know what, Mike? Let me get back to you with that next week. I have yet had a chance to listen to that album, so I don't want to come here and give you a preconceived notion on it. I only heard that one song that they dropped a few months ago with the new singer, and she's very talented. She's a very good singer, but I haven't had a chance to check out the full album yet, and I want to see it for myself. So I'll get back to you with that next week for sure. But he says, well, that's all for this week. Take care and peace out, Oos. I appreciate it, man. Make sure to follow Mike, by the way, at Main Event Swerve, and good brother Chris Letta is at XTZletta24X on the Twitter machine. I want to thank you guys so much for helping me out this week, as always, for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. Always remember, folks, if you want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is send me up on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. On that note, we're going to put a ribbon on the bow in this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. This has been episode 470. That's right, folks. It's going by fast, just like the John Cena retirement tour. 29 episodes to go. Make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. That way we get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Make sure to follow our show on Odyssey Podcast, and anywhere you get your podcast from. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you like as well. If you have any thoughts, comments, or anything that I had to say on the podcast this week, make sure to reach out to me on social media, on X at the Hoots Podcast, or Instagram at Joshie Lopez Music, or comment down below on our YouTube channel for this particular episode. And remember, folks, don't forget to check out my play-by-play articles for Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Evolved, and all preliminary PLEs for both the NXT and main roster shows and Saturday night's main event and etc. Those could be found in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com and or ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. But on that note, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 470 of the Hoots Podcast, where folks be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. 29 more episodes to go. We'll be here next week to get you ready for Night of Champions. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 470 of the Hoots Podcast. As the road to episode 500 continues, we'll talk to y'all next week. Love y'all. Yeet.
Bye-bye, bitch.